A Rockford woman is dead after a fatal hit-and-run crash. The ongoing search for the driver.
Plus, Vice President Kamala Harris is expected to name her running mate as early as tomorrow night, who the top contenders are for that VP spot.
And bringing awareness to domestic violence, the local golf outing raising funds to help state line survivors.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening, I'm Mimi Murphy.
And I'm Wendell Edwards. We thank you for being here. Tonight, a Rockford woman is dead after being hit by a car earlier this morning.
Around 1:30, Rockford police were called to East State Street near Rockford University for reports of a hit and run. Officers found Hua Huin lying in the roadway. The 66-year-old was pronounced dead at the scene. Police have not shared details about potential suspects or arrests. An investigation is ongoing. A trial date is set for the alleged Don Carter Lane mass shooter. Duke Webb faces 3 counts of first-degree murder after allegedly shooting and killing 3 people at the bowling alley back in 2020. In June, a judge ruled that Webb is mentally fit to stand trial. Today, an official trial date was set for December 2nd.
Tonight, the Sangamon County Sheriff is facing mounting calls to resign in the wake of one of his own deputies charged with murder. Sheriff Jack Campbell, who is a Republican, said the calls to resign from 3 Democrat county board members are just partisan politics. But county board members say there is nothing partisan about the death of Sonia Massey. And they say Sheriff Campbell's decision to hire Deputy Sean Grayson, the deputy, is unacceptable. The sheriff is saying Grayson is the only one who bears responsibility for Massey's death.
Every time Sheriff Campbell does an interview or speaks to the public at that DOJ Community Healing Forum, it proves time and time again that he doesn't have the judgment or the character or the trust of the public.
The large majority of the county board has not called on Sheriff Campbell to resign, including the board's chairman.
2 weeks from today, delegates at the Democratic National Convention will gather to name Vice President Kamala Harris as their party's nominee. Over the weekend, Harris reached the delegate threshold to be named at the top of the ticket in a virtual roll call vote. The online vote was to meet ballot requirements in Ohio. The in-person process to officially nominate Vice President Harris starts August 19th in Chicago. Some Republicans are coming out in support of Kamala Harris in her race for president. Republicans for Harris is a new initiative by the Harris campaign to use the support of Republicans to win over members of the party who are put off by former President Trump. The program kicks off with events in Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania this week. Republican participants from Illinois include former Governor Jim Edgar, former Transportation Secretary Ray LaHood, and former Congressman Adam Kinzinger and Joe Walsh.
Tonight, Vice President Harris is still deliberating her running mate pick. That's what sources tell ABC News. She's expected to announce her decision as early as tomorrow night.
Meantime, the Trump campaign's trying to clarify past controversial comments by Trump VP candidate JD Vance. Jay O'Brien has details.
Vice President Kamala Harris hurtling towards announcing her running mate, expected to come before tomorrow night when she and her VP pick will hold a rally in Philadelphia. Sources telling ABC News Harris met one-on-one this weekend with top contenders, including Arizona Senator Mark Kelly, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, but hasn't yet made a final decision.
Anything on the Veep stakes yet?
I got nothing for you, man.
Meantime, Trump's VP pick, Ohio Senator JD Vance, still facing scrutiny over controversial comments like this one from 2021.
We're effectively run in this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies.
This morning, Vance's wife, Usha, responding in an interview with Fox News, calling her husband's remarks a quip.
What he was really saying is that it can be really hard to be a parent in this country, and sometimes our policies are designed in a way that make it even harder.
Recent battleground state polls showing Harris running better against Trump than Biden. On GMA this morning, former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, instrumental in the Democratic effort to push Biden not to run, downplaying reports she was working the phones to pressure the president.
The only person that I spoke to about this was the president. Other people called me about what their views were about it, but I rarely even returned a call, much less initiated one.
Back to that impending VP pick. After that rally in Pennsylvania, Harris will then blitz 6 more battleground states in 5 days with her new running mate, introducing them to the nation. Jay O'Brien, ABC News, Washington.
Illinois public school students are still struggling in classroom learning after it was shut down during COVID-19. The University of Illinois system released a new study showing only 25% of public school students are back to pre-performance levels in English language arts, and even fewer students have returned to pre-pandemic levels in the subject of math. Learning recovery is at the slowest at the high school level, where test scores have declined. The study suggests schools could face even more tough decisions when it comes to recovery efforts. No change in the prices at the pump tonight in Rockford. The average price of gas in the Forest City sitting at $3.72 a gallon. That's unchanged from last week, but 19 cents higher than a month ago. Experts at Gas Buddy say prices could decline in the coming weeks as refinery disruptions in the Great Lakes region fade away and oil prices plummet due to concerns over the U.S. economy.
Golfers get out on the green to raise awareness for domestic violence services. Today, the Amanda Reed Foundation held its annual Memorial Golf Play Day. The event helps to raise awareness for survivors of domestic violence. The foundation is named after Amanda Reed, who was killed in 2009 in a domestic violence incident. Winnebago County Sheriff Gary Caruana says his department is 100% invested in the foundation's mission.
It's a good community event. It's supporting the Reed and Amanda Reed's the foundation and Diane, her mother, and what a tragic event what happened because of a domestic violence situation, and that's what keeps me coming back, because I want to make sure that I'm supporting it as a citizen, and that I'm supporting it as a sheriff and then the sheriff's department. So absolutely.
All proceeds from today's event go directly to the Amanda Reed Memorial, which funds educational awareness of teen dating and domestic violence. Eyewitness News is committed to supporting survivors of all forms of domestic violence and connecting them to local resources. We have a list of those on our website, mystateline.com. Just click on the State Line Strong tab.
Stocks on Wall Street open in the red today.
Up next, why investors believe the U.S. may be heading for a recession.
Coming up at 6, minimizing carbon emissions, the $1 million partnership helping students break down transportation barriers.
Our temperatures today made it into the upper 80s, low 90s, up to 94 here in Rockford. The heat index this afternoon climbing well over 100. Now we're keeping an eye on some isolated thunderstorms that have developed. The risk for those turning severe coming up in the first warn forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
The stock market on Wall Street plunging today after a rough finish last week and a weaker than expected jobs report.
The Dow dropping more than 1,000 points, fueling fresh fears of a U.S. recession. Washington correspondent Raquel Martin has more.
It's a troubling start to the week on Wall Street. Monday, U.S. stocks plunged as investors fear an economic downturn is on the horizon.
I think we saw a bit of a mini panic here, and I think that's probably unwarranted.
Mark Hamrick, a senior economic analyst at Bankrate, blames the market meltdown on last month's disappointing jobs numbers. New data released Friday shows in July, unemployment shot up to 4.3%, its highest since October 2021.
We'll need to get through a lot more data, whether it's weekly jobless claims, the monthly employment report for August and early September.
Hamrick says one bad month does not foreshadow trouble ahead. It could, however, foreshadow the first interest rate cut in years from the Federal Reserve. Last week, before July's dismal jobs report, Chairman Jerome Powell said a cut was under consideration.
A rate cut could be on the table at the September meeting.
With less than 100 days until Election Day, former President Donald Trump is seizing on Monday's Wall Street frenzy. On Truth Social, Trump declared the markets are crashing and blamed his opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, adding, quote, "None of this happens if Trump is in. Kamala and the markets don't go together." In a statement Friday, the White House said the jobs report shows employment is growing, but noted more work must be done to bring down inflation. Hamrick argues the crux of the issue has little to do with Washington.
It's all about the economy.
In Washington, Raquel Martin.
We do have a potential for some severe weather across the state line this evening.
After the break, Candace tells us about the drop in temperatures that could follow.
Now, your first warned weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Well, it has been pretty steamy out there this afternoon as our high temperature today made it to 94, our fourth 94-degree reading here so far this season. We had 3 back in the month of June. 16th, 17th, and 18th made it up to 94 today in Rockford. We're at 90 right now, but feels like 104, 106 the current heat index in Sterling with an air temperature of 87. So it is very uncomfortable out there. And while we do have a heat advisory that remains in effect for Carroll and Whiteside counties until 8 o'clock, everywhere we are dealing with those higher heat index values. And all of that moisture now helping to fuel some isolated thunderstorms that have developed, and it is possible within the next hour or two we see at least a severe thunderstorm watch issued for a portion of the area. Yet to be seen if that actually does occur, but know that we could have some isolated severe thunderstorms over the next several hours, and in fact that severe threat actually going to be increasing as we get a little further into this evening. We've got a thunderstorm here over northeast Whiteside County moving into southeast Carroll County. This is not severe warned yet. Continuing to watch that, however, as the lightning strikes have really kind of increased over the last 15-20 minutes as this moves into portions of Lee and Ogle counties. Right now, winds in excess of 48 miles per hour and pea-sized hail, along with some very heavy rainfall, will be possible. Also keeping an eye on some thunderstorms that developed along a lake breeze out south of Chicago. Those are not going to be a factor for us, but what these storms are doing are producing outflow boundaries, and as those outflow boundaries intermix with a stationary boundary right over north central Illinois, I think we may start to see some thunderstorms try to develop at least locally over the next couple of hours, which is what the Storm Prediction Center is watching to see if they need to put out that severe thunderstorm watch. So again, that isolated severe risk will be there. We've got the slight risk for those severe thunderstorms across northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin, and that window will begin to close about 9-10 o'clock this evening. Now we look a little further to the northwest. We've got this stationary boundary. This is attached to an area of low pressure that sits back over the upper Midwest. As that low moves closer to us, we'll likely see some further development with the shower and storm activity that is now forming out ahead of that low, and that is expected to move in through the overnight tonight. So a lot going on here, but the good news, we bring an end to some of that high heat and humidity that we've experienced over the last several days. So futurecast here through this evening is not overly excited for thunderstorm development within that window here through about 9-10 o'clock, but I still think we're going to see at least some isolated thunderstorms that could possibly turn severe as we go through this evening. But the storms off to the northwest, these are expected to move in from northwest to southeast through the night tonight. Our severe threat with those would be on the lower end, but could have some gustier winds and then some heavy rainfall just given the amount of moisture we have in the atmosphere. Cloud cover will start us off tomorrow and likely some lingering showers, and we'll finish our Tuesday off with cloudy skies. Might feel a little muggy during the day tomorrow until that drier air comes in. That is set to return once we get into Wednesday and really after Thursday when we have a secondary cold front come through. We may see a little cloud cover from that, but moisture is blocked down to the south, so overall our conditions are expected to stay dry and temperatures pretty comfortable too, even as we head into the weekend.
Candace, thank you.
Scott's in next with sports. The White Sox are knocking on the door of Major League Baseball history. We'll learn what mark they could reach tonight.
And the Bears' Ricky Punter is hoping he'll get to show this weekend the reason why the Bears used a key draft pick on him.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
A strong weekend series against the Cardinals still leaves the Cubs with hopes of making the playoffs as a wild card entry tonight to open up a series at home against a good Twins team. The Twins are sitting at 14 games over 500. They're trying to catch up to the Guardians for the AL Central lead. Cubs will send Kyle Hendricks up against them tonight. The Cubs won 4 of their last 5 games. They're 6 games out of the last wild card spot in the National League. They have 4 other teams to climb over in that race. It might be now or never for the White Sox to end their 20-game losing streak. They open up a series against the A's tonight out west. The A's are 21 games under 500, but that's still far better than the White Sox are. Again, the Sox losing streak is 20. If they lose again tonight, they will tie the American League record of 21 straight held by the 1988 Orioles. The National League record is 23 straight, set by the 1961 Phillies. And the Major League record going back to 1989 is 26 straight. That was set by the Louisville Colonels of the American Association. The Bears got the day off from practice Saturday afternoon. They will take on the Bills in Buffalo, and you would think rookie punter Troy Taylor will be making his punting debut in that game. He didn't punt in the Hall of Fame game. And the former Hawkeye is from down under in Australia, and he has the accent to prove it. He was asked if he has a nickname.
To answer your question, no nicknames.
What do you think of crocodile punter?
Yeah, I definitely don't want that one.
I kind of like it. NIU senior running back Antario Brown is the candidate for another major award in college football this season. He's been named in the watch list for the Walter Camp Player of the Year award. A week ago, Brown was put on the watch list for the Maxwell Award. Last season, he rushed for almost 1,300 yards. The USA Today coaches preseason college poll is out for football. Georgia is the #1 choice with 46 first-place votes. Ohio State is next, followed by Oregon, Texas, and Alabama. Notre Dame isn't far behind in 7th. Michigan is 8th. The Blackhawks have signed another one of their first-round draft picks from this summer, forward Merrick Van Acker. The 18-year-old played in the Ontario Hockey League last season with Brantford. And the IceHogs have welcomed a new assistant coach to their coaching staff, Josh McNevin. He comes on board. He spent the last 9 seasons coaching in the Western Hockey League. As a player, he was the defenseman at Providence College. McNevin is the second new addition to the coaching staff this summer. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, we do have a couple of isolated severe thunderstorms we are keeping an eye on. The one moving towards Ogle and Lee counties now has become severe warned. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning out for northeast Whiteside County and southeast Carroll County. This warning will run until 6:15 here this evening as the storm is currently moving to the east now at about 20 to 25 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour wind gust as well as quarter-sized to even half dollar-sized hail going to be possible with this storm as it moves into Ogle, and Lee counties. So just a heads up with that. If you're anywhere from the Polo area near Dixon, that storm is moving in your direction. We'll maintain those isolated severe thunderstorms as we head through this evening.
Candace, thank you.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you at 6.